Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the Life Project with Ifiansa. My name is Ifiansa. I talk about art, culture, and design. Alright guys, today I'm excited. We're talking about lights, your lighting plan. Now, if you've been following this series, this is the fifth video. Yes, this is the fifth video. And we're talking about working drawings and what you should look out for as a lay person on your working drawings. Now, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, someone asked, what's the point of knowing these things as a lay person if you are going to hire an architect? Maybe I'll do a whole video on that. But in brief, the reason you want to know some of these things as a lay person is that no one knows the experience of the space like you do. Whoever is going to occupy that space knows the experience that they want to have as individuals or the experience that they want the occupants to have. Now, if it is a restaurant or a house, you know who is going to use that space and what you want their experience to be. Okay, and this is why people have personal preferences and design styles. Like people have their own design styles that they prefer to others. You can walk into someone's house and say, it looks too much. That is that person's personal preference. So I'm careful not to judge people's homes because they know the experience they want. Someone wants to wake up and see gold everywhere. That is their personal preference. Someone wants to wake up and see almost nothing in their space. Someone wants to see plants everywhere, and that is their personal preference. So you know the experience that you want to have within your space. Yes, sometimes you can tell your architect some of these things and expect that they design your home this way. Now, someone else would say, I can just wait till the house is complete, hire an interior designer, and then they can do these things for me. True, you can hire us to do that. However, if we can start thinking about these things before the building is put up, at the end of your project, it's going to be very, very easy to actually accomplish that desired look that you're looking for. Okay, I recently did a restaurant and the person had a specific way that they wanted the space to look. It was not my personal style, but after I got an understanding of how they wanted it to look, it was easy to accomplish this for them. And the reason it was even possible was because I was also the project manager. So I was involved in the design process, the planning process, and the actual design of the civil works. Okay, so what the buildings were going to look like, their placements and all of that. I was involved in that process from the beginning. So in the end, the decor was nothing. We did that pretty much from the beginning. So by the time we were done, everything was perfect. Okay, now let's get into today's video. So we're talking about lights. I love lights so much because it actually helps you to achieve that final look that you're looking for. Sometimes it can be a finishing touch, but you still have to think about it from this stage because you can't do all the wiring and things at the end. Yes, you can come back and break and chisel and all of that, but who wants to spend that money? So if you can start to think about these things and do them from the beginning, why not? Now, as a layperson, there are just a couple of things I think you should know and understand about your lights before you start building. Or at least when you get your working drawings, these are the kind of things that you want to look out for. Now, I've had projects very recently where all I did was lights. People hire me just to pick out their lights for them. And it sounds so basic. Like, can't you just go to a store and just look at the lights and pick it out? Yes, you can. But thinking about it will give you a specific experience. Okay, so last week we looked at floor plans. Now what we are looking at today is a lighting plan. In interior design and architecture, we call it a reflected ceiling plan. So you are looking at your floor plan, but looking at it from the bottom up. Does that make sense? Yes, I think so. So it's like standing in your room and looking up at your ceiling and thinking about it in the same layouts that your floor plan is. So you are looking at it in rooms. Okay, so what your bedroom is, what your living room is, you're looking at it that way, but looking at it from the ceiling. Now, your reflected ceiling plan will have a legend. The legend is this thing here at the top, this little table or chart or guide, which is showing you what the symbols in your drawings are. Okay. So it's showing you where your LED lights are, where your recess lights are, where your pendant lights are. It's showing you where your switches are. So is it a one gang two-way? Is it a two gang two-way switch? You don't need to know or understand all these things in depth. Your architect or your electrician or electrical engineer, whoever you're using finally for this to execute your electricals, will understand it. But you need to know what you want your lights and what you want your switches to do. That way your electrician or your electrical person can tell you what you need to be able to achieve what you want your light or your switch to do for you. Okay. So first things first is, where do you want to position your lights? So those are the things you have to think about. Okay, so here for instance, it's a kitchen. 2 lights, is that enough for you? There's a storeroom. Do you just want one single light? Do you want 2 lights in there? You need to think about it. If your kitchen has an island like this one does, do you want to have pendants over your island? If you do, that needs to be clear on this plan. Now, another thing you want to think about is which switch is going to turn what on for you. It sounds like, oh, just throw some switches on the wall so that they turn on the lights. But you want to think about it. Now, when you walk into a space, let's use the living room as an example. When you walk into your living room from outside, the space might be dark if it's at night. You want the easiest place to put your switch so that as soon as you walk in, you can just slap the wall and turn it on. So you don't want your switch for your living room to be all the way in here when this is where you're going to walk in, and you're not going to be able to see anything till you get to your light switch. So you want it to be as close to your entrance as possible. Sometimes you might want another place within the space to be able to turn on the same light. You are not always going to turn on your light from your entrance. So where else can you put it? So that's another thing you want to think about. So this is a case where you have 2 switches turning on the same light. This may happen if you have, say, a staircase. You want to be able to turn on the same switch from downstairs and be able to turn on the same switch from upstairs. Same thing in your bedroom. You might want to be able to turn on your bedroom lights from the entrance, and you might also want to be able to turn it on from where your bed is. So you don't have to get up when you wake up in the morning. You don't want to have to get up and go to your door to turn on the light. So things like this. Now this is what the whole 1 gang, 2 gang, 2 switch and all of this is what all of that means. I'm not going to get into all of that because it might confuse you as a layperson, and I want this to be as simple as possible for you to understand. Okay, so that's what you want to think about. Now, understanding the whole thing with the switch and the lights is very, very key. Something that people talk about a lot when they talk about lighting, or one of the things that people hire me to do for them, is to help them with zoning their lights. Now, what does this mean? Sometimes you may have one space, but that space, you have maybe 2 or 3 different functions within that space. You don't want all your lights to be on at the same time, so you want to zone them. You may have a space where it's not necessarily your living room, but it's a small lounge area where you can sit and read a book, or if you have guests in the living room and you want to have a private conversation with someone, you still want to be in the living room, but you want a different place to sit. That little lounge space that you may have is another area that you can use. Now you want to zone your lights. So you might want to have lights just in that area, which is different from the lights that you have in the main living room. Those 2 lights are going to have different switches. Those 2 lights may even be different types of lights. One might have more of a warm light, one might have more of a cool light. So the yellow lights that you have, and then the white lights. The white lights are usually really bright, and that should be your main light. Now, if you want to have, this cozy feel, it's a bit dim, it's not too bright, that's when you use those nice yellow lights. So you may want to figure out, where do I want to have those yellow lights? Where do I want to have those white bright lights, right? Now, these are the things that help you create a certain ambience. So you want to start thinking about that. What kind of experience do I want, right? Now, in a living room, or no, let's use a bedroom. In your bedroom, for instance, you might have your main lights being the bright white lights. Now, you might also want to have a lamp at the side of your bed, by your bedside tables, where you have those nice dim yellow lights. So at night, you might not want the bright lights. You want just enough to be able to see where you are going, or enough to be able to maybe not read a book. I don't think it's healthy to read a book under those lights, but maybe you're just pressing your phone, whatever it is. You want those nice dim lights, or you're having a conversation with your partner on the bed or something. You want to have some light in there. That's a nice light to have there. So knowing some of these things are very, very important. Now, let me just go over the different types of lights that you can have in your space. You can have LED lights. Now, LED lights are energy efficient lights, which are now very common in most homes. People use these to replace, the good old bulbs that we used to use, the hanging ones. If you live in Ghana, you know what I'm talking. It's not even just in Ghana. I think it's really common everywhere. Back in the day, you have those nice bulbs where they are hanging and things like that. Now, people have the nice LED lights. Some of them are recessed, some of them are surface. There are different types that you can have. Some of them powered differently. Some are, there's a whole gradient of lights that you can have, using those LED lights. So that's an option. You can have chandeliers, so you walk into someone's living room or their foyer and you have these big fancy lights. Now they have a lot of modern chandeliers, so you can look at any of those and where you want to put them. Usually you want to put it somewhere that you want to make a statement. It's your living room, somewhere where you want to make a statement. You want to make a statement in your dining room. You want to make a statement in your stairway. You have all those options. And then there are recessed lights. So recessed lights, when you look up at the ceiling, it looks like it's part of the ceiling, where it looks like they made it together with the ceiling. It looks like it's inside. Those are recessed lights. Okay, they are usually flat on your wall, on your ceiling, and it feels like it's inside, it's recessed into your ceiling. So those are recessed lights. Now imagine, it just seems much better, cheaper, and easier to plan your recessed lights, so that once you know the positions of your recessed lights, it's easier to just install them when you are done. Now another is pendant lights. So you see pendant lights they usually hang down. It's similar to a chandelier though, but it doesn't make as much of a statement. You can have some nice statement pendant lights, but usually you find the nice pendant lights over your dining table, over your kitchen island. So areas where you want to focus lights on, right? Then now we have wall sconces and things like that. So sometimes you can have a chandelier which has a matching wall sconce. So you have your chandelier, and then there's a wall sconce that you put on the wall, which sometimes matches it. It doesn't have to match, but it can complement your chandelier or your pendant lights. There are also track lights, which are more common these days. People like to put them in their kitchens. Sometimes in commercial spaces, people use them, so things like that. Just having a basic understanding of these things is important. Now, if you look at this plan shows you where the lights are placed. So if you look at this living room, for instance, you have a light here, you have a bulb here, you have another here. And these have been zoned nicely. So if you are sitting in this area, you have lights in this area. If you're sitting in this area, you have lights here. Now these all have different switches, so where you see the curved dashes, that's showing you where your light is and how it leads to the switch. Okay, so this gives you an idea of where the switch to that particular light will be. Now when you see a bunch of lights like this all in one straight line, or joined by the straight dashes. That tells you that they are powered by one switch. Okay, so sometimes you might have a plate that has two switches, right? So that's when they say two gang switch. So those two lights are powering two different lights, right? That's just an example. So yeah, this video, I knew I wasn't going to talk too much here, but this is pretty much what you should know as a layperson. I keep saying I don't want to make it too much for you where you feel like you're taking a whole design course. As a layperson, you just want to build your house, and I want to make it easy for you to be able to just identify certain things on the plan, and also to start to think about what that experience would be like for you and your family. Okay. Yeah, so this is a project that I did recently for a client. The client was not in the country, so majority of our communication was virtual. I did most of the well, not most, I did everything. So they already had, I came into the project at the point where the building was already complete, okay, and it was a matter of buying the right fixtures for the space. So what I did was to understand the experience the clients wanted. They had already purchased some of their furniture, so I took a look at that and got a sense of the person's design style. Right now, based on the client's design style, I was able to present some options to them of fixtures that I had actually seen in stores here. Okay, this is one of the difficult things about the work of an interior designer in Ghana. Sometimes you walk into a store, you see something, you take a picture, take it back to the client, and by the time you come back, it's not there because maybe the stock is low, right? So sometimes as a client, also meet us halfway and be available. So as and when we send you pictures, you can say, yes, go ahead and purchase it or not, and all of that. I'll talk about budgeting and how some of these processes can be done so that it works well for you, the designer, and you, the client, right? So yes, in the end, these are the lights that we picked for the various rooms. I did this on PowerPoint. By the time we were done, the final selection was done on PowerPoint. The contractor who was on site I worked closely with them to have the right thing installed because they had already done the electrical works at the point that I was called in, So I went and got the switches for them, which also matched the space. So it's not like just walking anywhere and just buying any switch and yeah. So I mean, so that was how that project went. It worked out very smoothly. The client was moving back to the country in December. I think I did this project over a period of about a month, yes. So everything was really quick and all of that. So it was quite a smooth project. I enjoyed working for this client. But yeah, that's pretty much what you need to know about the lighting plan as a layperson. Right now, if you want more information, I'm happy to share that with you. There'll be more videos coming up on, details of how to pick your lights and all of that, and even the different types of design styles and things, so you know where you are when it comes to design, right? But anyway, I hope you found this video useful. All the best on your project. And once again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you found this video useful, and see you in the next video. Bye.